we have to talk about the timing of a statement that Rand Paul just put out. So,
oh yeah, that's
Rand
a very
Paul,
interesting statement. He's a
Rand
little
Paul
late.
Yeah, he's also from Kentucky. He's obviously the son of Dr. Ron Paul. A lot of people know him. Like Massey, a lot of libertarians are interested in what he has to say. Yesterday, at like 7 o'clock in the evening, he said, a few people have noticed that I resisted an enthusiastic endorsement of Donald Trump during the election. But now I'm amazed by the Trump cabinet, many of whom I would have picked. I love his message to Ukraine warmongers, along with his Doge initiative shows that and along with his Doge initiative shows I was wrong to withhold my endorsement. So today, admittedly a little tardy, I give Donald Trump my enthusiastic endorsement. Too little, too late, some will say, but it is sincere, and there's that. Don't expect this endorsement to be fawning. I still think that tariffs are a terrible idea, but Dios míos, what courage, what tenacity, go Donald Trump, go. What do you guys make of a post-election endorsement from Rand Paul?
No, I think that's cool. It's like, especially just to be able to say, hey, you know what? I was wrong before. Now I want to admit that and say, hey, wow, what he's doing, and he's proved with his actions, and he's convinced me now. I think that's cool. I just agree with him on the tariffs thing. I think the tariffs so far have been amazing negotiation tools. But yeah, I'm cool with this.
Yeah, I agree, Melonie, because on a principled stance, I disagree with tariffs. I don't want to see, the price of goods and commerce kind of hindered by it. But at the same time, it is a negotiation technique. That is a very brilliant one. And it is helping Donald Trump achieve a lot of kind of major foreign policy wins through these larger kind of threats and maneuvers here, as there's a lot of bigger things at play here that we have to, understand and concede to. But Rand Paul, I think he has very bad timing. He's he might have to check his clock there a little bit. And I love Ron Paul, and he's not Ron Paul. He's different. Let's just be honest with ourselves. It still takes a big person to kind of admittedly say, hey, I was kind of wrong here, which he's not really doing, but kind of doing. To me, I think that it should have been more of a bigger statement of, okay, let's actually get behind this Trump thing. Let's actually achieve all of this stuff. And I think him kind of admitting, maybe I was wrong to not endorse him for so long, as, it didn't take the smartest person in the world to figure out that Trump was a different person than he was in 2016.
Right.
But I got so much flack by the anarchist, libertarian, freedom movement for endorsing and supporting Donald Trump. Everyone was like, oh, you're just a statist. You just love government. And I'm like, guys, you don't understand the bigger fights and battles that are happening here with the deep state. I'm telling you, Donald Trump is going to keep his promises. They're like, yeah, right, we'll see. And I had people on my show, and I got criticized, and I was vehemently attacked about this larger kind of purview and about this larger issue, being like, you're wrong, Luke. You are absolutely wrong. And I'm like, we'll see. You'll see that I wasn't wrong. And like, no, yeah, right. And I'm like, okay, we weren't. And it was me, and it was a bunch of other people that were making this stand here. We were proven right. A lot of those other people were proven wrong, and I think they should at least admit, yeah, we were wrong. We read the room. We read the tea leaves wrong here, and our political assessment was inaccurate. As Donald Trump is on a tear, he's going to Fort Knox. This is why I think Rand made a statement, because Rand has been trying to go to Fort Knox forever. Donald Trump just announced, and there's this video. I'm going to send it in the chat room so you guys could play it here, because I think it's worth playing, with Donald Trump announcing that him and Elon are going to be doing a live stream going to Fort Knox, something that Rand Paul has been trying to do for a very long time. He had a trip planned a couple years ago, and then they canceled it on him last minute. So he was never able to actually see the real gold. And then I sent another meme over that is probably representing what's happening at Fort Knox right now.
We're going to Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there.
Are they gonna
that we're going to go into Fort Knox? Do you know about that?
Sir,
That was that bad bump.
Are they going to eliminate more national security positions, civilians there?
We'll see what happens. But one of the things we do want to look, we hope everything's fine with Fort Knox, but we're going to go to Fort Knox, the fabled Fort Knox, to make sure the gold is there.
Where would the president brought up?
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset.
I think the question for Rand Paul is he acknowledges, I never enthusiastically endorsed Donald Trump, right? Like, I never thought of him as someone who was anti-MAGA, anti-Trump, or whatever. It is interesting that given that he could have been like, oh yeah, I've always been fine with Donald Trump, that he would publicly come out and be like, yeah, I could have been a bigger, more vocal supporter, and I opted not to, and I want to address that now. But he
didn't say that. He sort of said it, but he didn't.
It's really like no, that's what I'm getting at. Like, he sort of said that. He's kind of soft launching this. It's also interesting that he addressed it all, because like you're saying, there are so many people who would never admit that they were wrong. And we've had to see this happen, especially in relationship to Trump, a couple different times. I mean, the best example, in my opinion, is actually JD Vance, who was very openly a never Trumper, and then had to like say, yes, I did not like Donald Trump. I was actually very much against him. And then over the course of his presidency, I changed my mind. And I'm here to tell you, like, I am someone who has been converted by the things he has done.
Yeah, and I mean, he's done so much work, even as people, those of us who were rooting for him, even we're surprised. A lot of us are surprised that, wow, he's barely been in office and he's already done so much work. It's like, does he even sleep? So, I mean, that's impressive. I think to even shock those who had faith in him, he's got to definitely be shocking those who were against him. Yeah.
And I think that speed is really what's motivating other people in Congress and in the Senate right now. I think that they're seeing the pace that the admin is setting, and that's good. It's like to shock life back into all branches of the government, especially given that it's coupled with DOGE that's going to purge anyone who's not efficient. I know that there were people who were really critical of Rand Paul's statement. I actually pulled Roger Stone's tweet earlier, which I believe he called Rand Paul cowardly for this. He's since deleted it. He's left some posts up about it. I know he's trying to get Ron Paul the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But this is a post from Laura Loomer. She said, can't believe people actually like this narcissist. So it seems like there is some kind of political cost to making this late term endorsement.
What is she gonna like give a reason why she didn't like his statement, or just call him a narcissist and call it a day? Like, what's going on?
I mean, I guess maybe she thinks that like now that Trump has done a lot, he's weighing in on this to get some sort of gold. I don't know. It seems like there is, and he kind of alludes to this in his statement. Too little, too late. Some people will say, but you know, it's there. There is a tendency within the MAGA movement for people, and not totally unjustifiably, who have been longtime supporters of President Trump, to say, I was here first, you weren't even a part of it, and now you're coming in after we've done all this work and we've won to try and be a part of the glory.
Yeah, I think that from my perspective, if someone wants to join the team, and as long as they aren't trying to change the team, let them in. Like, okay, this is great. But in terms of my issue, and I understand like a lot of pushback with the big tent thing, because I had a lot of criticisms about the whole big tent idea. So I get that. But my issue with the big tent idea is that, let's let all these people in who have conflicting values and conflicting beliefs, like because we just want more people in here, and let's start to cater to these people, especially like with the LGBT stuff, things like that, to where it's like, okay, well, this is no longer being recognizable as conservative if we start acting like these things are okay, and we start even glorifying in some cases these things. So I just think it's just, hey, if Rand Paul wants to say, hey, I'm on Team Trump now, as long as he's not gonna be, okay, I want to be called part of Team Trump, but I want to change everything. It just depends on the approach there.
Yeah, the timing's bad. I mean, I know a lot of the kind of behind the scenes stuff. And again, there's a reason I started my statement with Rand Paul needs to check his clock, because there was stuff happening during the campaign when Trump was running that highlighted just bad timing and bad political maneuvering. And I think he could have done a way better job, since Donald Trump needed the libertarian votes to win. And it was that libertarian vote that helped him win so overwhelmingly. And Rand Paul represents this larger kind of libertarian wing of the political party. So there could have been a bigger bromance here. There could have been a bigger coalition here that could have been amazing and wonderful to see, but it was really kind of thrown under the bus by the poor political timing and the larger kind of asks and demands. As when Rand Paul came to Trump no longer kind of needed him. He already did a lot of the work. And during the campaign stuff, he could have been a lot earlier on in a full kind of way coalescing with Donald Trump and actually moving in a direction that has helped the future of the Republican Party. So again, just poor timing overall. Now, do we give Rand Paul some flack here? I mean, maybe just a little bit, but overall, let's not be too harsh on ourselves here. Let's build these larger coalitions. Let's get stuff done in the Senate. Let's pass through some bills. Let's make sure that this president isn't just the president of executive orders. Let's pass some legislation. Let's get to work. And I think just being too brash and too negative to Rand Paul now could hinder that in the future.
Yeah.
And I just want a bigger coalition to be built here with more libertarian minds that are able to, of course, put the egos aside and actually try to get something done. But again, Trump is a bigger political juggernaut than Rand Paul. Rand Paul should have realized that and then kind of went along and supported the larger kind of initiatives and programs and plans early on instead of late in the game when it was too late and Donald Trump didn't really need all the help and support that he did.
Right. And Rand Paul and Thomas Massie were both names that were thrown out after Trump said he put a libertarian in his cabinet. I mean, I think there are a lot of people who are supportive of Trump and Rand Paul. Did he need to make this statement? I don't know. And if he felt like he needed to, if it was on his conscience, I think that's great. But there's definitely, this is not so damning that I think everyone needs to get into a fight about it.
I think he's
I
feeling
bring
left
up
out.
because, again, the timing is interesting. And the fact that you would have someone, again, I'll go back to my JD Vance example. Anytime anyone has gone from being a never Trumper to being like, no, I genuinely do support him now. I think that's worth taking note of because I think that is the path that a lot of Americans have followed. And in this case, someone who's been like, he was okay. I wasn't crazy about him. I had some criticisms, but I feel really strongly that he's doing well now. Like that's worth noting. People's opinions develop over time.